Attention, please. We'll soon start the forum. Please be seated. Please turn off the cell phone or switch it to the silent mode. The simultaneous interpreting receive. Please set at channel 1 for Japanese and channel 2 for English. And you must return the receiver when you leave this auditorium at the reception here. And we appreciate your responses to the questionnaire. Please fill in the questionnaires to your hand when you leave. Please give that to the staff member at the exit of this auditorium. Thank you very much. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the Hiroshima Junior International Forum. I'll be serving as a master of ceremony today. My name is Nanase Ishii, the second year of the Hiroshima Prefectural Senior High School, Itsukaichi Senior High School. In the beginning, I'd like to briefly explain the Hiroshima Junior International Forum. The Hiroshima Junior International Forum is for students of junior and senior high schools from overseas in Hiroshima and for international students studying Hiroshima to get together in Hiroshima, discuss and exchange views on world peace so that the students will deepen friendship and mutual understandings. The participants will visit Peace Memorial Museum, listen to the testimony given by Shivaksha, hold group discussions, compile result of discussions to the Hiroshima Declaration, and send it to the world as a message for peace. The peace declaration, the result of the group discussion, will be reported tomorrow from 3 o'clock till 4:30. Please join us. Now, in opening, we'd like to invite the Governor Hidehiko Yuzaki for a few words of welcome. Governor, please. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Olympic Games are over, and in Japan, we have a senior high school baseball tournament. It was over too, so that it is close to the end of summer holiday, and it is a good time for you to think about various good things. Now, so thank you for your participation in the opening ceremony of the Hiroshima Junior International Forum. First, students of junior and senior high school students schools from 16 countries and region, welcome to Hiroshima. I extend heartfelt welcome to you all. International students studying in Hiroshima are also with us here. Thank you for joining us. And I express my gratitude to the lecturers, Miss Kaoru Nemoto, Director, Information Center, and Ambassador Takeshi Nemoto, Special Assistant to Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Facilitator of Group Discussion, Professor Noriko Sado, Shudo University. I express my gratitude for your cooperation, And members of Shapers have been also offering their support since the Youth Foreign Ministers meeting. Thank you for your help. In Hiroshima, we observed 71st August 6th 2 weeks ago. Hiroshima is now truly a beautifully reconstructed city, but 71 years ago, even right here where we are now, thousands of people were burned down along with the city itself and lost precious lives. The horrors of atomic bombing did not stop there. Have you heard of Sadako Sasaki's story? She folded 1,000 paper cranes and died. She is now standing on the top of the Children's Monument for Peace in the Peace Memorial Park. 10 years after atomic bombing, Sadako, who was energetic and loved the running race, suddenly developed leukemia caused by atomic bomb radiation exposure. She had hoped to live on through folding paper cranes, but she died at the age of just 12. In May this year, President Obama visited Hiroshima and showed to the world his determination for the abolition of nuclear weapons. On his visit, he himself folded paper cranes, the symbol for peace, symbol of Sadako, handed them to children, and thus expressed his sympathy with Sadako's feelings. He also gave a speech that I would like to call the Hiroshima speech in the Peace Memorial Park, said that the children in Hiroshima would go through their day in peace at present, and loud and clearly stated, quote, "It is worth protecting and then extending to every child. That is the future we can choose," end of quote. Participants in the Hiroshima Junior International Forum, I believe that to realize international peace, it is important for you, young people, who will bear the next generation, to play an active role. The Hiroshima Junior International Forum is held for students of junior and senior high schools from overseas and Hiroshima, and for international students studying in Hiroshima to join discussions and exchanges on international peace, and then send messages for peace to the world. Through this process, the students will deepen mutual and international understandings, which will help to develop human resources for next generations and enhance initiative for international peace. People living in peaceful regions do not know much the reality of cruelty of war and the preciousness of peace. On the other hand, people in conflicts and wars do not realize how enjoyable and delightful our life could be. The ultimate end of war, how far a war could go, is shown by the use of nuclear weapons. If there is a foundation for peace, reconstruction and development, Hiroshima experience will be possible. I established the Hiroshima Junior International Forum because I would like young people to look at and feel Hiroshima at first hand that presents both realities, and to engage in discussions from the perspective of each of you on what you can do. During discussions, I would like you to etch your thoughts on your minds about what you should do for world peace and compile them into the Hiroshima Declaration. I expect much on your hard work. In closing, I extend my appreciation to the people who offered great support and cooperation in opening the Hiroshima Junior International Forum, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hearing the results.
Thank you very much. Now, let me introduce to you the participants in the Hiroshima Junior International Forum. I shall now read the names of the participants. Please rise when your group names are called. First, junior and senior high school students from overseas and escorting staff. Please rise. Students from Sichuan of China, Hawaii of the United States, and Guanajuato of Mexico. These states have established sister state relationships with the prefecture of Hiroshima. Members of the Brazilian Hiroshima Kenjin-kai, one of the overseas Hiroshima Kenjin-kai, among the 47 prefectures in Japan, Hiroshima has the largest number of immigrants. Currently, more than 3,000 students are studying at universities and Japanese language schools in Hiroshima. Today we have junior and senior high school students from the countries and regions which we have sent many students to Hiroshima. In total, we have junior and senior high school students from 16 countries and regions. International students studying in Hiroshima, please rise. So a total of 10 students from the countries who are studying at 5 universities located in Hiroshima, including Hiroshima University. Junior and senior high school students of Hiroshima, please rise. We have 40 students who applied for this forum and 8 students from the Global Mirai Juku in Hiroshima. High school students from Mie Prefecture, please rise. The G7 Ise-shima Summit was held in April this year. Prior to that, the High School Student Summit took place in Mie Prefecture. In Hiroshima, the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting was held, and one of the pre-events was the Youth Foreign Ministers meeting, where young people interacted. So today we have invited 2 high school students from Mie Prefecture. In total, we have 84 participants in the Hiroshima Junior High International Forum. Next, let me introduce to you the facilitators of our group discussions. Ms. Noriko Sado, Professor of Hiroshima Shudo University. Ms. Keiko Nakamura, Associate Professor of Nagasaki University. Mr. Yoshiaki Furuzawa, Lecturer of Hiroshima City University. Please give a big round of applause to all. Next, keynote lectures. The first speaker is Kaoru Nemoto, Director of the United Nations International Center in Tokyo. She delivers a lecture titled Using the United Nations to Change the World Through the SDGs. Ms. Nemoto, Ms. Nemoto graduated from the University of Tokyo, worked for TV Asahi Corporation, and then earned a master's degree in international relations from Columbia University. She joined the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, or UNHCR, in 1996. In her career till 2011, she was active in the field to assist and protect refugees, as well as in developing policies and managing fundraising from the private sector at the Geneva headquarters. She also worked as a spokeswoman for the World Food Program, executive director at Japan Association for UNHCR, and a freelance journalist. She assumed her current position in August 2013.
Good morning. Hi. Good morning. Have you had your breakfast? Yeah? Okay. My name is Kaoru Nemoto. I'm from United Nations Information Center based in Tokyo. It is such a pleasure for me to be invited here to address to you young talents who gathered to Hiroshima, which is the location, a symbolic city to think about peace. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Governor Yuzaki and his team for inviting me to address to you all. Today, I would like to appeal to you how much the United Nations would like to have your participation and how you could contribute to building peace through your young talents. And for that purpose, how newly adopted Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, could provide a good framework and platform for you as a tool to make this world a better place, more peaceful place for us to live. 今日は
Today, the presentation will be given in Japanese because I prepared for that, so I will use Japanese. However, if you have questions to me and you want to speak English, then I can hold discussion in English. So please feel free to talk to me. Ambassador Nakane was a representative of Japan in Germany, and I spent 4 years in Germany. At that time, Germany was divided into two areas in the south, in the east and west, and the Cold War devastated the people's lives. That I learned at that time. That is an international event, and that led me to thinking what the peace is, how I can brought peace to the world. Here we have young people coming from various countries and standing in different positions, and we can talk, and we will reach some conclusion. Then we will accept the differences among us, and we will change that differences into the new, better shape. And because you are senior and junior high students, and you have this great opportunity, and I think it is a very good thing for you to learn through this forum. And this year, it is a very important year for Japan as well as the United Nations. Last year, it was the 70th anniversary since end of war, and the United Nations celebrated its 70th anniversary of the establishment. And this year, Japan joined the United Nations on the 18th of December 1956. This is 60th anniversary of Japan's entry into the UN. And since from this autumn, we are going to have various events for the celebration to see how we can enhance the relationship between the UN and Japan. I encourage you to participate in those events. And I'd like to show you the PR that show the 60-year participation of Japan into the United Nations. Join the United Nations. Yasushi Akashi, Under Secretary General of the United Nations, Sadako Ogata, UNHCR, and peacekeeping operations in South Sudan, and protection of disaster from Sendai to the world. And 2016. So it is very quick, and this is public relations advertisement. And Japan will be the non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, and this is 11th time, and this is the most assignment of a country as a non-permanent member of the Security Council, and it is to discuss international security, including the disarmament, including nuclear disarmament. It is a very important assignment to Japan. And here, at your hand, you have this kind of information that was given by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Please read it later. And today, I will show you various DVD, and you can see them on the website of the YouTube of the United Nations. And you can, if you are interested in that, to please watch that again. And we have 3 pillars in the mission of the United Nations, that it is to maintain international peace and security. And the Security Council is having a responsibility for that. But disarmament is being performed by the many other religions. And the second pillar is to remedy and promote human rights. And the third is to promote economic and social development. These are 3 pillars. And these are not independent of each other. This is interdependent. And all those 3 are trilogy. Without peace, we cannot have human rights. Without human rights, and development, we cannot realize peace. So those 3 pillars are intertwined, and we cannot indivisible. And I will talk about that later. Sustainable Development SDGs, they are all indivisible. And peace, in narrow sense, when you think about that, we think about UN activities, including peacekeeping operations, PKO. PKO is not included in the UN Charter, but since the establishment of United Nations, that was invented. Between the Chapter 6 and Chapter 7, the peacekeeping operations were created. That is the wisdom of the United Nations. Currently, 16 PKOs are in action, and about the 130,000 military and 10,000 civilians are working on that. And the budget is increasing every year. Currently, $1 trillion is used for the peacekeeping operation. And in the third largest budget is now for the PKO activities in South Sudan. The last March, I went to South Sudan because this is a year we will celebrate the 60th anniversary. And I wanted to visit the site where I can see the cooperation from Japan, and I want to see the Japanese activities there. And I wanted to listen what the people, Japanese people working in South Sudan, will say, so that I can include their voices in my PR activities. And then the self-defense forces were dispatched there, only place in the world. And the many UN staff members from Japan are also working in South Sudan. South Sudan is the newest member to the United Nations. And after the many years of the civil war, it got independent in 2011, and the world community celebrated that. But 2.5 years later of the independence, there is a division in the country, and then the civil war broke out again. And in summer last year, the peace treaty was concluded, but in last July, you may have heard of this. There's another crash. The conflict, when it started, it is very difficult to go back to the before the conflict. Then once we thought that conflict was over, it is very easy to go back to another conflict. So even after the conflict was over, those countries tend to go back. 50% of those countries will go back to the conflict again in 5 years. So this is a result of the study. So I met the Japanese people, Japanese UN staff in South Sudan, and they said the task here in South Sudan is to the people who do not know peace. We have to tell what the peace is to the people who do not know what the peace is. They do not have any image of peace. And the UN staff members are trying to tell them what the peace is, to the people who do not know what the peace is. So it is almost impossible task. So all the heavy burdens are placed on the vulnerables, typically children, women, and girls. The conflicts are taken as granted, but it is very difficult to build peace there. In South Sudan, the differences or discrimination against women was seen, and I was very much shocked because there is so much difference between men and women there in South Sudan. Probably I've seen that for the first time. There are many differences in many places, but it's a stark difference. And the men were just chatting by sipping tea in the camp, and while women are working very hard beside those tents, cooking and civil work, including the collecting the logs. And they were like horses and cattle to work hard. And the boys are playing football, and the girls cannot do that. To cook, they need twigs. So the women went out the camps to walk the distance to find twigs for cooking. And if men go out from the camp, they may be killed. But it is the same thing. It is possible for women to be raped if they go out from the camp. The 50% of the young Sudanese women experience the sexual harassment, but they have to take a risk to protect their families. As you see, this is a road they are walking, and then the United Nations trying to protect them on the road that the women are walking. But this is just a point protection. This is not the wide range of the protection. So the women are having heavy tolls. And there was Japanese woman named Hiroko Hirahara, who is doing a very good job in the mission of the South Sudan. She is working in a Bentio office, and she is the head of the Bento office. The Bento office, head of the Bento office, has to administer the many troops, Mongolian troops, Ghanaian troops, UN emergency forces, and UN civilian troops. About 2,000 people are working under Ms. Hirahara. So I visited her. I stayed at her. I went to her house. So even though I said her house, it is a container style house, a trailer kind of house, and it's just a she can just has a basics. I will show you the video for her.
Today, I have enokirake mushrooms, so I cook enokirake mushrooms. Enokirake mushrooms last for as long as 2 months. What is your major task? There are 120,000 people live in the protection of civilian site. So bringing them to their own villages and towns safely without pushing them out is my major task. I hope the government will establish a system that passes profits onto the people. Once they understand the benefits of such a system, things will go well. So I am pinning a hope on it. The first to come is peace. I am a peacekeeper. I'm involved in peacekeeping operations. The United Nations need to contribute to security, peace building, peace enforcement, and peacekeeping. So we work hard to assure security. In post-conflict countries and regions, security is not stable. It is very difficult for UN entities and NGOs to do their tasks in such countries because it is very difficult to ensure the security of staff members. For the transition period to assure security to some degree, peacekeepers like us are involved. And then hand over to the UN development program and those involved in development.
はい、平原さんです。私昨日ですね、彼女
I met her yesterday. She returned to her hometown in Osaka, and then on the way to Hiroshima, I visited her in Osaka. She said that she bought a great thing. What do you think about it? That is a bath.
Because there wasn't any bath in South Sudan. And if you use something like a swimming pool for children, use a plastic bag, and that was sold in Amazon.com, and she bought it, and she's going to bring it back to the South Sudan. And it is a very difficult situation, and she has been working in South Sudan for 4 years now. And the tasks related to the PKO should be the foundation of all the other tasks because that is provide security and safety. And there is an HNCR that support of refugees, UNICEF to support children, and UNDP to support development, United Nations Development Programs, WFP for the food program, and there are many organizations in the United Nations. But those organizations cannot function without security and safety. So PKO will build a foundation for those securities and safety so that the development support can be provided. That's what Mr. Hirahara told me. I said earlier, I talked about women and girls. I myself think the discussions held in the United Nations are directly related to what I'm doing on a daily basis. It is related to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. This is a true convention. I started to work in 1986. Maybe I belong to your mother's generation. I started to find a job in 1985. I joined the media, mass media. At that time, the key TV stations, other than the TBS, they just employ the women for announcers only. But after 1 year later, there is no differences in the job title. So the job women can be a reporter and other tasks other than the announcer. Why it happened? Because there was a treaty, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. In order to ratify that convention, in Japan, there's a legislation of Equal Employment Opportunity Law in 1985. In order to ratify the convention of the law convention, then we have to change the national law. If there is no law, we should have a legislation. So, because Japanese government wanted to ratify the convention, then the Japanese government legislated the Equal Employment Opportunity Law. At the same time, the Japanese government amended Japanese Nationality Act. The nationality was decided based on the paternal side. But if the international marriage, if it is international marriage, if the father is a Japanese, then the child will be a Japanese. But if a mother is a Japanese, then the child cannot be nationality. So only the paternal line is a nationality, and so this was determined as discrimination. It is against the provisions of the Convention on the CEDAW. So since then, the nationality can be determined by either father or mother's lines. So because of the discussions on the CEDAW, then that changed the lives in the women in Japan in a better way. And I realized that at the time.
Earlier, I talked about the peace and human rights and development. These are intertwined, and with these three elements, we can change the world better. This is what I mentioned earlier. In 2030, you will be leaders in society. I hope society will be more peaceful and more people can gain rights and prosperity. To that end, action plan involved by the world, which is the Sustainable Development Goals. Have you heard of the MDGs? Some have already heard about the MDGs, that is the Millennium Development Goals. In the millennium, especially in developing countries, the poverty, people in poverty should be reduced and education should be improved. So to improve conditions in developing countries, 8 goals were set, and the target date was 2015. We have seen the many good results. The poverty population, 2 billion in 2008, but it had been halved, and the poverty population have been halved almost. But over the past 15 years until 2015, we have seen new issues. For example, 3 typhoons are hitting Japan right now. This is an unusual situation, and we have heavy rains quite often, and it's very hot. I had discussions before this meeting, and we talked with ambassador and the governor about the temperature increase. We are not surprised by the temperature, which is higher than 30 degrees right now. And the world average temperatures are recorded, which are highest ever. And the climate change issue, and the gap between the haves and not haves is increasing. The gap is increasing right now according to statistics. So we have seen new issues. Some issues haven't been resolved by the MDGs, and we have seen new issues. So to solve these issues, we cannot look at just one area, but we have to look at wider area in an integrated manner, and we bring about our efforts to achieve the resolution of issues. To that end, the SDGs were set, and the booklet of the United Nations Information Center, and can you take a look at that? And then it shows the details of the SDGs, so I hope you take a look at that later. To comprise the SDGs, the world have spent 3 years, and discussion was done in Japan as well, and 7 million people raised their voices about issues. As a result, we have SDGs, not only economic growth, but also the social inclusion. The voices of minorities are not heard well. They are not taken by the safety net. So the voices of minorities need to be included. And global warming and climate change should be taken care. So there are 3 elements included in the SDGs. Unlike the MDGs, advanced countries, including Japan, need to take action to achieve the goals. The children poverty is very bad. The 1 out of 6 children live below the poverty line, and then the woman average wage is 25% of that of men. And then looking at the political world, the number of female congressmen is 9%. So, and the climate change, the CO2 reduction, the advanced countries, including Japan, are required to achieve a goal. Against the 2013, Japan made a commitment to reduce the CO2 by 21%. So the SDGs are very unique in terms of the universality, and you may think that there are so many goals, 17, so you can't remember everything, but they are intertwined. One of the example is girls' education, which is related to goal 4 and 5. So you can take a look at the brochure. Goal 4 is education, and 5 is gender. Access to education itself is human rights. At the same time, it includes a lot of things. Girls' education. So if the girl can get the education, they can get income, and they can sustain their lives, and that can lead to the goal 1, elimination of poverty. And educated girls, when they become mothers, they can provide nutritious meals to their children, so which are related to goals 2 and 3, nutrition and poverty, health. And also they can get more job opportunities, so which is related to goal 8, and elimination of gender gap, which is related to goal 10, and they can gain confidence. If they can gain confidence and they can raise their voices in their communities, for example, peace negotiations, girls can contribute to the world negotiations, which is related to goal 10, and they can participate in the development of communities, which is related to goal 11. So the one thing is related to many goals, so that this divides indivisible. Being indivisible is one of the characteristics of the goals. And then another point is that no one should be left behind. Some people are left behind in society, and regional gaps. Usually urban cities areas are more prosperous, and regional areas are left behind. So the regional gap should be eliminated. This is one of the characteristics of the SDGs. So without peace, SDGs cannot be achieved. Peace seems like far from the development goal, but look at the goal 16. It shows peace. Now, after World War II, the humanitarian conditions are worst in the world. Refugees that I have been involved for so many years, and internally displaced internally displaced persons are in worst conditions after World War II. So people who are taken, their homes are taken, which is extremely bad condition. And now the number of refugees have increased 5 million per year. So that means that now the world population is 7.3 billion. So 1 out of 113 people are refugees or internally displaced persons. So in this whole, there are maybe 230 people. So that means that 3 of you may be refugees or internally displaced persons. If there are refugees, if they become refugees, and it's very difficult for them to go back to their home. Do you know how long they need to take shelter? It's about 17 years. Maybe it's longer than the duration you have lived. So 1 generation is gone. The children cannot see any future. Looking at the coverages, you think that a lot of refugees are going to only European countries, but 90% of refugees are fleeing to the developing countries and the emerging countries. Turkey, Pakistan, next to Afghanistan. Lebanon next to Syria, which is a very small country. 1 out of 4 people is refugee. And Iran next to Afghanistan, and Ethiopia next to the Somalia. In this order, these countries are receiving the large number of refugees. They are not developed countries, so these countries are accepting a lot of refugees. So the international community should take burdens, and also we need to advanced countries need to provide support to such countries, and also the countries which produce refugees, we also provide support to them in peace building and the building infrastructure. So these can be used as the tools to take a look at those situations. In September this year, the leaders will get together at the United Nations headquarters in New York. And the General Assembly will host the leaders' meeting to discuss the large movements of the refugees and migrants on September 19. So next month, when you watch TV programs, you may hear the refugees. So please remember that word. So young people like you, I want you to ask your world leaders to take action against for SDGs. So, and 20% of the population, the world population, are young people. So young people like you will be the leaders in the next generation. So the current leaders need to make commitments. Otherwise, the future generations will be affected. And 90% of the young people live in developing countries. And Japan's average age is 47, but the world average age is in 20s. So young people, when they grow and they need jobs, so 30 million jobs per year need to be created, otherwise they will be unemployed. And the young workers' unemployment rate is triple that of the adults. And young people's working poor is an issue for Japan, but not only issue for Japan, but also the world. And the key to solving this problem is education. So standards and technologies and skills can be gained based on education. The girls want to get education and go to school. And
Malala Yousafzai, who was given the Nobel Prize, and she said she was in the summit and she made a speech at the place where the SDGs were adopted. I will show the video for that.
Welcome Nobel Peace Prize laureate and activist for girls' empowerment, Malala Yousafzai.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Before I start, I would like this environment to be a bit quiet and that people pay full attention to what the youth is asking here. Dear sisters and brothers, dear sisters and brothers, world leader sitting there, look up because the future generation is raising their voice. Today, we are 193 young people representing billions more. Each lantern we hold represents the hope we have for our future because of the commitments you have made to the global goals. In my life, I have experienced terrorism, displacement, and denial from education. And these are the tragedies that millions of children are still suffering. That shocking and heartbreaking image of Elan Kurdi lying dead on a seashore. The parents of the girls abducted by Boko Haram, tears flooding from their eyes, and little children on the Syrian border with no home, no hope. Force us to ask, how many more will we see being killed, being rejected, being neglected, and being homeless in society? How many more? The world needs a change. It cannot change itself. It's me, it's you, it's all of us who have to bring that change. Education is not a privilege. Education is a right. Education is peace. Dear world leaders, dear brothers and sisters, promise to all children in Pakistan, in India, in Syria, and across the world, promise them peace, promise them prosperity, promise an education. To my brave sister Salam, promise an education to my brave sister Salam and all refugee children, that wars cannot stop them from learning. Promise my sister Amina that our sisters abducted by Boko Haram will be brought back, that girls will be able to study in safety. Promise us that you will keep your commitments and invest in our future. Promise that every child will have the right to safe, free, and quality primary and secondary education. This is the real investment that the world needs and that the world leaders should do. I'm hopeful that we all and the United Nations will be united in the goal of education and peace, and that we will make this world not just a better place, but the best place to live. Education is hope. Education is peace. Thank you so much.
Malala, she was 18 years old at the time she made this speech. Malala was not from a special family. Her mother could not read. She is illiterate. But her father is very much supportive to the girls' education, and he supported her hard work. What does it mean? The young people here, you can be a change maker like Malala. So you have a quality to be like Malala. She raised her voice. She was threatened, but she was not defeated by the threat. She continued to work on what she believed. and continue to make an effort and continue to raise a voice resulted in this speech. August 6th, on behalf of the United Nations, the Undersecretary Kim visited Japan on behalf of the United Nations. He is from disarmament. The peacemaking should be done by the youth. And although I'll be busy, I'd like to have a dialogue with the young people in Japan. And I want to think along with the young people what young people can do. The United Nations wants to have the participation by the young people. So one example is high school peace ambassador. And last year, the International Day for the Total Elimination of Nuclear Weapons, and Kozakura-san from Hiroshima was there. It was a great opportunity. So she said she wants to close in the countries that are looking for the nuclear weapons possession. And also, there is a simulation, we call the model United Nations. That the photos shown here are the high school model United Nations. Azabu Senior High School, he won the second award. That you can use English, and also you can have a debate of the people from various perspectives. It's a good training session, and the number of the participating senior high school is increasing. So you may want to give a consideration to it. And this is the university's activities, and 10 things you can do for disarmament. That was published by the United Nations. That is action guide for the disarmament. That was in English version only, but it is very important for Japanese government, Japanese people. So the students of the University of Tokyo who are studying in the disarmament seminar decided to translate that action for disarmament. 10 things we can do. And so the Japanese version is the first translation of an action for disarmament. And the university students can make history in that way. So because of Japanese versions was generated, first thing, before the other languages used. So we have the many other artists can join hands too, such as the Leslie Key, who is photographing the Lady Gaga, Yoko Ono, and he is a judge of the student photo contest, and the Leslie Key thought he could do something else to introduce SDGs to the people. And in front you can see Hayami Yu and Matsumoto Iyo and Fuji Takashi, or the TV talents, and that they are doing what they can do.
And the involvement into the United Nations is being the UN staff members, and Japan's contributions is the third largest. But the number of UN staff members, Japanese UN staff members, is very small. So the number of members is decided depending on the contributions. But regardless of the huge contribution, Japan's staff members is very small. The half of it or a third of it of what it's supposed to have. And there are 3 core values required for working in the UN. First, professionalism. Japanese staff members are professional. The second, value is integrity, contribution to the institution. Japanese people are very strongly determined to contributing to the international institution. And the third value is the diversity, listening to the people from different areas, and then find the middle ground. So which is quite important. So these three values are very important, and the Japanese people have these values potentially. So I think I hope that many Japanese determined young people to be involved in the work of the United Nations. And if the time is allowed, then I want to show another video footage for women working at the United Nations. So please take a look at the video.
5,000 professional women serve in the United Nations Secretariat worldwide. The women of the UN share a passionate commitment to the ideals of the organization and a desire to make a difference in a complex world.
It's been really hard to get more women.
It's all about people who want to step outside of themselves and try and contribute to the world and make a difference.
Les Nations Unies, c'est l'endroit où on vient plaider la cause des victimes, la cause des laissés pour compte et des vulnérables.
The women of the UN have the ability to operate effectively in diverse, multicultural, and fast-paced environments, and the skill, passion, and persistence to take on the challenges of the UN mandates.
The key to management is the ability to bring out the best in the people who you are working with.
جزءاً من شيء أكبر منه، جزء من عمل خير، جزء من عمل مهم، جزء من عمل فرق بحياة الإنسان العادي وبالأمور السياسية الدولية.
It's managing the complexity. We're a multicultural global organization.
所以我觉得呢，在这个联合国，我最喜欢的就是说每天和来自不同国家的人打交道，那你可以学习很多不同的文化。
The UN needs well-qualified, committed women like you to play a key role in all aspects of our work.
Yo estimulo a las mujeres jóvenes y que de verdad se planteen como proyecto de vida trabajar en esta maravillosa organización.
Nous avons des femmes qui sont sur le terrain et qui sont en train de faire le même travail que les hommes. Et nous sommes en train d'encourager beaucoup et de recruter beaucoup de femmes d'ailleurs à aller même dans des situations les plus difficiles et font un travail remarquable.
Удовлетворение у меня как офицера безопасности, когда мы можем обеспечить нашему персоналу и дать им возможность выполнять эту работу.
Numerous paths can lead to a UN career.
Je suis économiste de formation.
I was in the private sector doing well.
Je suis juriste de formation.
My studies were in international development.
Well, I started off working for local government.
We offer a diverse range of professional opportunities in the international arena on the broadest levels of political and human interaction.
هو صعوباته ولكن له فوائد كثيرة يومياً وعملياً وتفكيرياً وقلبياً.
We strive to support women to combine their professional and personal passions.
I'm doing this job because I want to make the world a slightly better place and hand it over to my daughters.
My personal and professional lives are extremely intertwined. These are the careers that we've chosen, so we find the balance.
There's a UN family that becomes your larger family.
Do you seek to channel your commitment to the ideals of the UN and to make a difference in this world?
It's perseverance, it's passion, and it's willingness to take risks and to put yourself out there.
I knew this is it.
To learn more about the diverse professional opportunities available to you, please visit our website at careers.un.org.
At the United Nations, by 2030, at all levels, the women and the men workers rate is 50-50. This is a target. Especially higher ranking persons above directors, the number of women is 1/3 of that of men. So the talented and the determined women, they want to hire them. So they have that employment system So if you are willing to do so, I hope you to take on a challenge. Again, like you can be a change maker like Malala for a better and peaceful world to be created. Please use SDGs so that you can make contributions. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much. The next speaker is Takeshi Nakane, Special Assistant to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador for Science and Technology Corporation, and Ambassador Special Envoy for Peaceful Uses of Atomic Energy. He delivers a lecture titled Towards a World Free of Nuclear Weapons. After joining the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Nakane worked a prominent positions such as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the international organizations in Vienna and to Germany. He assumed his current position in February 2016.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Takeshi Nakane from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I would like to express my heartfelt happiness for the opening of the Hiroshima Junior International Forum. In the opening of this forum, I'd like to pay great respect to the staff members, including Governor Yuzaki. And also in front of the young people participating from in Japan and outside overseas, I appreciated the opportunity you are given to me to talk about diplomatic efforts. This forum is where young people will discuss the nuclear abolition of nuclear weapons, reconstruction, and peace building. And by holding discussion exchange, you will send a message what the peace is and how to realize it. In many places, we are seeing terrorism and conflicts. So because right now it is the international situations are very unstable, it is very important to deepen the mutual understanding for the building of the peace. And this Hiroshima is the most suitable place because Hiroshima has been sending a message to the world in the importance of international peace. Yesterday, you visited Peace Memorial Museum and visited the cenotaph, and you listened to the testimony given by Hibakusha, even survivors. And thus, you were able to see the bare facts of the atomic bombing, and you felt the horror of the war and preciousness of peace. And you will continue discussion until Wednesday, and you are going to generate the Hiroshima Declaration. In order to realize the peaceful world, I expect very much that you will deepen your knowledge on what you can do, each of you can do. Before I talk about the diplomatic efforts of Japanese government, I'd like to introduce myself. I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1974. So in the last about 40 years, I worked on the treaty of disarmament, that is related to reduction of nuclear disarmament, and treaty related to the non-proliferation to suppress and stop the proliferation of the nuclear materials and technologies. And I worked on the policy development and diplomatic negotiations in many fields. And between 1992 and 1994, I was director of the disarmament division. And in 1992, I invited the UN Conference on Disarmament Issues for the first time in Hiroshima. And between 2005 and 2008, I was Director General of Disarmament, Non-Proliferation and Science Department, and I visit the 3 years since 2005. I participated in the peace memorial ceremonies in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I renewed my privilege for peace. And from 2008, I have been working on the nuclear disarmament and proliferation as the ambassador of permanent minister of Japan to international organization in Vienna. And as an ambassador to Germany, I worked in the embassy in Germany between 2012 and 2016. And on August 6th every year, I held a concert for peace. This is to mourn for the victims of the atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and pray for peace. And we invited the musicians from Japan and Germany, and also the lectures are given by the experts on disarmament and non-proliferation issues. To German people, the Hiroshima is a symbol for peace, and this is Hiroshima Street that is created after the movement by Berlin citizens that are looking for peace. And after the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1990, the name changed to Hiroshima Street. This event drew the attention of the mass media and highly praised. This is highly praised as a good cooperation between Germany and Japan. It was during the summer vacation, but many leading figures such as former Foreign Minister Jescher and former President Wolf attended. And in Germany, around August 6th, there are various peace memorial events. And in particular, Hanover's event is the largest in scale, the sister city of Hiroshima. As such, that I have a very good connection, strong connection with Hiroshima. And here we have young people participating from Japan and overseas, and you are very much interested in the building the society, a peaceful society, and you have many views how to realize that. And the ultimate method is to realize that is to eliminate all weapons existing in the world. However, in order to realize that, we must build the trust that we will not break into the war, and that trust should be established in the international society. So, do you know how many nuclear weapons existing on the earth right now? At the time of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, the arms race intensified most in 1984. At that time, we had 70,000 nuclear weapons on the Earth, and these nuclear weapons could kill 40 times human beings on the Earth. The doom's clock set the extinction of humans due to nuclear war at 0 a.m. in the morning, then show the remaining time until the extinction, and symbolically, at the time, 1984, the clock showed 11 o'clock 57 minutes. And after that, the tension was loosened of the Cold War, and there is a treaties to abandon the mid-range missiles, and the treaties to set the upper limit of the nuclear warheads were concluded between the Soviet Union and the United States. Though the nuclear disarmament efforts were made that brought the number down to the 16,000 nuclear weapons. However, still we have the number of the nuclear weapons that can kill the human beings many times. 71 years ago, the atomic bomb, just one atomic bomb, dropped each on Hiroshima and Nagasaki deprived many precious lives, and many survived still suffering the after effects. And people in the world should realize that reality. The tragic consequences by the use of nuclear weapons is now promoting the rise of the nuclear disarmament. And Japanese government is the only country to have ever suffered atomic bombings. Japan has a mission to realize a world free of nuclear weapons by thinking of healing other Japanese even survivors. And we also have to think about the difficult situation of security in East Asia, but we are thinking to seek for the cooperation on concrete practical measures among nuclear and non-nuclear weapon states. And currently, the international rules to be complied with nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. The NPT, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, enacted in 1970, is existing. This treaty has accepted the existence of nuclear weapons, and then the 5 countries of the nuclear weapon countries should make a steady effort to reduce. 5 countries recognized as nuclear weapon states: the United States, Russia, United Kingdom, France, and China shall faithfully reduce the number of nuclear weapons. Cooperation of international society shall be made to stop the proliferation of the materials technologies for the nuclear weapons. Countries that ratify treaty can use nuclear energy for a peaceful purpose. These are 3 pillars of NPT. And at NPT review conference and also preparatory conference, Japanese government contribute to those meetings. And in order to maintain and reinforce the international rules of NPT, we are working to realize the world free of nuclear weapons. And since 1994, in the next 20 years, successfully, Japanese government submitted the resolutions of the total elimination of nuclear weapons. This is to aim to realize world free of nuclear weapons through concrete practical efforts among nuclear and non-nuclear weapon states. But there are so many, and also that this resolution was welcomed by the overwhelming majority. You may think it is not difficult to submit the same resolution every year, but it is not true, because we have to amend, revise the content of resolution every year, depending on the international situations. And every year we have a very difficult negotiation with many countries. When I was Director General, I negotiated with several countries, but some countries showed very difficult demands to us, to Japan. But if we accept one demand from one country, then the other countries will oppose to the resolution. So we had a very difficult time to compile the resolution. But because of our efforts, the resolution related to the nuclear disarmament and nuclear abolitions was well supported, the most supported by the other countries. Sometimes the nuclear countries supported our resolution. We will continue this steady effort from now on. And in addition, Japanese government regularly consult with the major countries that have an influence on the nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. And then that we urge them to comply with the rules of the international law.
It is necessary for all generations to correctly understand the reality of the atomic bombing and inhumanity of nuclear weapons. So the Japanese government works on having opportunities in international conferences to have the voices of hibakusha and the people from the A-bombed cities. We also make the translation of testimonies of hibakusha into foreign languages and provide support for atomic bombing exhibitions overseas in order to raise international awareness. Furthermore, using opportunities for diplomatic negotiations, we call on world's political leaders and young people for visiting the A-bombed cities. This year, Japan hosted a G7 foreign ministers meeting, and the foreign ministers of the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Canada, Italy, and Japan gathered in Hiroshima in April. As a result, the Hiroshima Declaration was issued, which is a strong message of nuclear disarmament by both nuclear weapon states and non-nuclear weapon states. At that time, according to the suggestion of U.S. Secretary of State Kerry, the foreign ministers made an unscheduled visit to the A-bombed dome. Secretary Kerry had a strong desire for nuclear disarmament in Hiroshima. It is believed that U.S. President Obama shared the view, which led to his historical visit to Hiroshima. In Hiroshima, President Obama sent a strong message towards realizing a world free of nuclear weapons through cooperation between the only country in the world to have experienced nuclear devastation and the only nation to have used nuclear weapons. President said, "We must have the courage to escape the logic of fear and pursue a world without nuclear weapons." We also need to give great momentum to this effort. In June, to discuss the technical challenges associated with the verification of nuclear weapon disarmament, Japan hosted the International Partnership for Nuclear Disarmament Verification in Tokyo. In September last year, Japanese Foreign Minister Kishida and the Foreign Minister of Kazakhstan began a 2-year initiative regarding the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, urging nuclear weapon states and non-signatories toward an early implementation of the treaty. In September this year, a foreign ministerial meeting is scheduled for this initiative. To reduce nuclear weapons realistically, the involvement of nuclear weapon states is crucial. In light of this, Japan is taking various actions. Nuclear disarmament through cooperation between nuclear weapon states and non-nuclear weapon states seems like a long way to go. However, this is the realistic and shortest way of nuclear reduction. Rather than provoking a confrontation with nuclear weapon states, we should emphasize the importance of cooperation towards nuclear disarmament. To pass the horrors of nuclear weapons onto the international community and the future generations, we need governmental activities and negotiations, as I mentioned, and furthermore, cooperation with civil society, including citizens in Hiroshima. In this regard, we appoint hibakusha as special communicators for World Without Nuclear Weapons who convey their experience in international conferences. This program started in 2010. Since then, a total of 252 hibakusha have served as special communicators. In 2012, a concert for peace was held in Berlin. I asked hibakusha and special communicator Masaki Tanabe to give a lecture at the concert in Berlin. Mr. Tanabe used a documentary video created with computer graphics to simulate peaceful daily lives in Hiroshima before the atomic bombing. By doing so, he explained the horrors of atomic bombing. Filmmaking is Mr. Tanabe's life work. The video was also screened at the 2015 NPT Review Conference at the UN headquarters. Many people were moved by the video, so you may know about it. For this forum, we have Mr. Tanabe joining. Thank you very much for your contribution. Former Foreign Minister Genscher was moved by the script of Mr. Tanabe's speech made in 2012, so he attended the Concert for Peace in 2013 and gave a lecture, although he was not in good health. This year marks 71 years since the atomic bombings. We need to pass the desire of the A-bombed cities and Hibakusha for nuclear abolition onto the younger generation. So, in addition to the special communicator program, Foreign Minister Kishida launched a program called Youth Communicators for the World Without Nuclear Weapons in 2013, which is designed to help leaders in the next generation attend international conferences and call for the importance of nuclear disarmament. A total of 113 persons have served as youth communicators. At the 2015 NPT Review Conference, 24 young communicators expressed their thoughts about a world free of nuclear weapons to UN officials. At a concert for peace in Berlin in 2014, 3 female youth communicators from Hiroshima and Nagasaki shared their views about the importance of peace with citizens in Germany. The number of hibakusha has been decreasing year after year, so youth communicators have a strong sense of responsibility not to forget the memories of hibakusha, but to pass them on to future generations. With that, they participated in various events which aroused the sympathy of many people in Germany. I hope that the participants in this forum take this opportunity to deepen your understanding about what you can do for peace. By continuing activities like this forum and sharing your desire for peace with people around the world, I hope that the younger generation like you drive efforts to realize a world free of nuclear weapons. In spring 2015, the NPT Review Conference could not reach consensus on the final document. Nuclear weapon states and non-nuclear weapon states are increasingly confronting about the path to nuclear disarmament. Unfortunately, international efforts for nuclear disarmament are losing momentum. On the other hand, no-nuclear weapon states are concerned about the slow progress of nuclear disarmament, thus calling for a legal ban on nuclear weapons. In Northeast Asia, refusing to listen to demand from the international community, North Korea repeatedly conducts nuclear tests and ballistic missile flight tests, thereby openly defying the international nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation regimes. Against this backdrop, little progress has been made in nuclear disarmament and proliferation that requires concerted efforts of the international society. Far from it, unfortunately, this matter is becoming a new divisive issue in the international society. However, at the times like this, we need to convey the reality of the atomic bombing across borders and generations, thereby gaining international momentum toward nuclear disarmament. To that end, in March this year, Foreign Minister Kishida announced the International Networking Initiative of Youth Communicators, with that hope that not only Japanese young people but also those from foreign countries play active roles. A total of 28 young people from foreign countries have served as youth communicators. We plan to organize an annual gathering of those experienced youth communicators in order to further strengthen youth communicator networks. As also announced by Foreign Minister Kishida, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will invite more than 1,000 people from all over the world to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In closing, realizing a peaceful world depends on the will and action of you who will be leaders in the next generation. I sincerely hope that each one of you retains a strong interest in peace, relentlessly seeks knowledge, and draws on your experience in this forum, thereby taking action towards the realization of a world free of nuclear weapons. With that, I conclude my remarks. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. That concludes the opening ceremony of Hiroshima Junior International Forum. When you leave this auditorium, please give the questionnaires and simultaneous interpretation receiver at the reception of the exit of this auditorium. So please make sure you don't leave anything behind. And thank you again for participating in this ceremony.